as we start tonight, I want you guys to go ahead and open up to James chapter 5. We'll start off in verse 16. But before we get into that tonight, I want to go ahead and just say this. You guys have probably noticed in the couple years that I've been here, I'm a pretty buff guy, right? I mean, you guys walk into here every single night that we meet on Wednesday nights, week after week. You guys are probably wondering how you are going to be able to get chiseled muscles like me one day. I mean, you're wondering how you're going to be able to get the muscles that you see before you tonight. And I know it's going to come as a surprise to you guys, but this didn't happen overnight, okay? This did not happen as I was sleeping. It took a lot of work, took a lot of exercise. Owen, I know you are just baffled right now. You're just like, are you joking? I mean, serious. I know it's just kind of throwing you guys for a loop, but seriously, it took a lot of work. It took a lot of exercise. And up until just recently, when we had Hadley, I was exercising a lot. I actually did CrossFit for a while. I did CrossFit for about a year, and when a lot of you hear the word CrossFit, you probably think of the CrossFit Games that are on ESPN and ESPN2, right? You've probably seen the CrossFit Games where the men and women are in competition together. They're just doing crazy amounts of athletic things. You know, they're lifting crazy amount of weight. They're climbing ropes. They're swimming lengths of pools. They're doing triathlons, marathons, all this kind of stuff to see who the greatest athlete in the world is. And the thing is as you look at those people, they are just beasts. Men and women are just beasts. They're just amazing to watch do all of these kind of feats that you wouldn't even think were possible unless you were watching on TV. As you guys watch those on TV, you probably think, well, you know, I can do that kind of stuff. I can climb that rope faster than that person. I can lift more weight than that guy over there. And that's what I was thinking as I was getting into CrossFit. I was like, you know, just give me a little while. Everything's going to be cool. I'm going to be one of those guys up there in CrossFit Games, and I'm just going to be the biggest, baddest guy ever. And that's what I was thinking going in. And so to my surprise, when I went into CrossFit for the first day, and throughout my whole CrossFit career, if you will, my CrossFit career didn't exactly look like those people that you see on TV. Mine was not as glamorous as those people or what anyone would want to see. I mean, I know it's surprising, but it just wasn't as glamorous as I thought it was going to be. I remember one particular morning, we used to have the workouts posted up on the website before we came in, and I remember looking at it the night before, and I see next to the workout it says Partner Day. And this gets me really excited because when I see Partner Day, I'm like, all right, I get to choose my partner. I get to choose someone that's a lot better than I am, so I look good. Because usually when it was an individual day, I would be that weakling kind of guy in the back, pouring sweat on the gym floor and finishing in the final heat of everyone else, as everyone else was finishing ahead of me. So when I saw Partner Day, I was getting really excited. Like, I get to choose this partner, and we're going to look good. And every time I went in, I had this go-to guy that I would go to every single time for Partner Day. His name was Nathan. Now, Nathan was a few years younger than me, so his legs were a little bit more fresh. He was lean. He was strong. He played soccer. He did marathons. He did triathlons. So this guy had tons of stamina. On usual individual days, I would be the guy in the back of the gym where I would be pouring sweat onto the floor and wondering why I went to Sonic the night before to eat. While he was finishing 10 minutes before me, and he'd be the guy that would finish way before me. He'd have time to stretch, he'd get a swig of water, and he'd drive home by the time I actually finished the workout. Like, he was one of those guys that you hated, but you also wanted to be your partner at the same time. So Nathan was that guy that I always went to, and we were about the same size and everything. So, you know, he was kind of my mentor, if you will, for CrossFit. So he was a perfect fit for me. So we started the workout on that Partner Day, and it was Nathan and I. And that workout for the day was that we had to do 3 miles of fireman's carry. We had to do 100 box jumps, and we had to do 100 push-ups. It sounds pretty easy because you're a partner, and you get to do half of it. So essentially, I'm doing a mile and a half of fireman's carry. I'm doing 50 push-ups, and I'm doing 50 box jumps. And it sounds pretty easy. And everything was going well from the beginning. You know, we knocked out the box jumps. We knocked out the push-ups pretty easily. And I'm like, all right, we got those done in probably about 5 minutes. We're good to go. But then something hit me in the face. We still had to do the fireman's carry. For those of you who don't know what the fireman's carry is, it's an exercise where you have your partner literally on your shoulders, not piggyback ride. They would have like their head and arms over here, and their legs would be over here on this shoulder, and you'd carry them like this. And you would have to carry them for the distance that they told you to carry. So this morning, we had to do it 3 miles. So essentially, I had to do it 1.5 miles, and that was looking me straight in the face. And my arms and my legs were just totally burned out from those box jumps and the push-ups. So I was just thinking, great, this is going to be awesome. And so because Nathan could see my frustration, Nathan could see how worn out I already was, Nathan said, you know what? I'm going to take the first leg, and then you can take the second leg. And I said, okay, well, this can be time to rest. So he picked me up, and he did his 1.5 miles in about like 30 seconds. I don't know. This kid was sprinting down the road. I mean, literally, he was in a jog the entire time. Now, we're about the same size, so it wasn't like he was this huge guy carrying this little guy. We're about the same size. I think I actually weigh more than he does. And he was jogging with me. And then he puts me down, and we say, okay, Eric, it's time to go. I was like, all right. So it's my turn to do this 1.5 miles with him on my shoulders. So I get down, I pick him up, and then I start. And I'm doing pretty good right off the bat. You know, I'm like, all right, I think I can do this. Well, about 200 meters in, I hit that wall. And yeah, I know, 200 meters into 1.5 miles, you guys are like, yes. And that's what I was thinking at that time. And about 200 meters in, I hit that wall. I'm like, Nathan, I got to put you down. He goes, okay, that's cool. So I put him down, and I take a deep breath. I do one of these things like, okay, let's go. And I hurried up, put him back on my back, and we started going again. About 100 meters after that, I'm like, dude, Nathan, I got to put you down again. I'm sorry, man. I gotta stop. He's like, oh, okay, fine. You know, people are passing us at this point and everything. And it was at this point when I was only able to carry him like a few steps and then having to put him down that I started to think to myself that there's no possible way that I'm going to finish this exercise. Like the sun is going to come up before we finish this exercise. Keep in mind, we did our workouts at like 4:30 in the morning. So for the sun to come up in the summertime before we finish our workout, that's a lot right there. But I had no idea how I was going to finish this exercise. And I remember looking at Nathan and saying, dude, I cannot finish. Listen, you're going to have to pick me up or something. You're going to have to carry me the rest of the way. I cannot do this. And Nathan looked me straight in the eyes and said, you've got this. I was like, are you joking? We've gone like literally 300 meters. And I've had to put you down like 4 or 5 times. I said, there's no way I'm making it the rest of this way. And he said, no, you've got this. He said, pick me up and go 50 feet. I'm going to count out 50 feet for you. I said, okay, let's go. So the entire way, I'm carrying him on my back, and he's like, just 2 more feet, 2 more feet, 2 more feet. And he kept going and going, and he's encouraging me the entire time. And then after I got done with those 50 feet, he's like, go 100 feet. It's like, okay. So I kept going. He said, go 200 feet. I'm keep going, and I keep going. And the entire time he's encouraging me. He's telling me not to quit. He's telling me, keep pushing it. You can do this. And until that point, I was only able to carry him maybe a few steps and having to put him down. But because of his encouragement and the fact that he kept pushing me to go, I was actually able to finish the entire the rest of the 1/4 mile that I had to go without stopping. I didn't put him down once in a 1/4 mile, and I finished it up strong. And I got to tell you, man, I was worn out after that. But I look back, and I'm so proud about that moment because I thought I wasn't going to be able to finish this. I thought my body was literally going to break down. But Nathan was on my back. He was there every step of the way, and he was telling me, you've got this. You can do it. And he kept pushing me and pushing me to go. You see, if it was just me by myself that day, if it was an individual day, I probably would have quit. I probably would have walked it out the rest of the way. But because Nathan was there every step of the way, I was able to overcome obstacles that I didn't think that I could overcome. I was able to go and do things that I thought my body was not capable of doing. In the same way, tonight as Christians, we need someone in our lives that is going to be with us every step of the way. Someone who's going to challenge us on a regular basis. Someone who's going to help us when we fall. Someone who's going to be there to push us in ways that we never thought were humanly possible when it comes to our spiritual walks. And that's why tonight, as we get started, I want to go a little deeper into the subject of accountability. and what that really means and what that looks like. Because let's face it, if not for someone to hold us accountable in our lives on a regular basis, many of us in this room would fall away in our relationship with Jesus Christ. See, a lot of times as Christians, we like to take that solo route, take that solo approach to Christianity where we think we can handle everything by ourselves, that we can put everything on our shoulders, and no matter what comes our way, we're going to be able to take care of it on our own. You know, we think we can handle the temptations of this world alone, and we might have come back from a camp, or we might have come back from a conference, or this awesome experience that we had with Jesus, and just an awesome experience that we had with a group of Christians, and we come back from that, and as soon as we do, we suddenly think that we can take on anything that the world can throw at us. And that's where many Christians go wrong, because that's where we see those Christians that come back and only a couple weeks into their journey as a new Christian, that's where we see them going back into their old ways, reverting back to their old ways. Because the problem here is that Satan, he knows our temptations. He knows what's going to cause you to fall. He knows what's going to make you fail. He knows exactly what gets you ticking. And he knows how long he can push you until we give up finally, and then we revert back to what we used to be. Some of you here tonight are listening to this and you're saying, okay, well, Eric, listen, I understand the need for accountability, but what makes a person or people great when it comes to accountability? Well, tonight I want to talk to you about three characteristics that you need to be looking for in your accountability partners. Now, the first thing that we need to realize is that you need to have someone that is going to make you better and push you on a regular basis. You don't need someone that's going to be your best friend and not going to tell you the truth or anything like that. You need someone that's going to be able to tell you the truth, tell it like it is, ask you the tough questions, and challenge you on a regular basis. See, Proverbs 27:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. Now, to understand this verse, we have to understand what the illustration is saying right here. See, back in biblical times, the way they made metal weapons and tools was by using metal to form it. Say they were making a sword, for instance. The first step of this process would be that they would get the sword, the metal, really hot. They'd put it into a fire. They'd get it really hot and get it soft enough to where they could form it. And then as soon as it was hot enough, they would get a metal hammer. And they would get an iron hammer and just pound it out. It would be flat, and it'd be like just basically a piece of sheet metal. Okay? And that was the first step. Next, they would use an iron file or an iron ore stone, and they would make the edges razor sharp. They would just keep going until as sharp as it was possible. And then they would use another piece of iron to lift the edge to make it even sharper than it already was. And the thing is in the same way that Proverbs illustrates that to us here, having other Christians around us gives us an edge when it comes to the temptations of this world. You know, you have that kind of swagger when you go into it, knowing that you have your boys behind you when you're going into battle. You have that different swagger about it when you know that you're facing temptations not by yourself, but with people behind you. It kind of reminds me of a commercial that I saw from last year's Super Bowl. But instead of describing it to you, I figured I would go ahead and we'd watch it just so you guys could get kind of the picture that I'm going